It's showtime. Thank you, everybody, for coming to our live stream. I am Shashi Low. I am your host. I don't think I ever say that right. But I'm a senior software engineer at Microsoft. Oh, I think I just froze. But we're back. Um, but this is the Gridiron Survivor apprenticeship program. Today, we are presenting some planning audits that we've done with our Secret Santa app. Um, First, what is Gridiron Survivor? Gridiron Survivor was created because as I kept talking to self-taught individuals and boot campers, I just felt like there was a gap that was missing, skills gap. Looked at review portfolios, resumes, and there was just a knowledge collaboration and quality of work. So I reached out to my friend Rudy, and he had a Survivor app, football Survivor app, and I said, "Hey, why don't we just build this application for you? I could bring a bunch of junior developers in so they can learn this process and build something for you." So, short story. This apprenticeship was created so that individuals like Cody and Alex could get real world experience using a corporate process to gain those skills that they wouldn't on their own. What we do is we do a lot of sprint planning, retrospectives. We do thorough pull request reviews. We collaborate cross functionally. There is a UX engineering team. There's a functional engineering team. There's myself acting as a project manager and engineering manager. We have a designer as well, and so many different departments, and allows these individuals to go out there, learn about how to communicate with one another. I think the biggest things for each individual is learning to take a task and completing it without going too far above the scope, going enough with the scope, writing unit tests, and being able to understand the code that they're writing. And that's one thing that I push a lot is when you're writing something, please understand what you're doing. And if I question you, you better have an answer. So that just allows you to be pushed to the boundaries of not just writing code so it's out there, but writing it so that it works and you understand why it works. Because the next time around you come back, you will gain those understandings. So next is I'll talk about the Secret Santa app. We are pivoting over to the Secret Santa app. The reason why is because majority of our folks don't know what an NFL Survivor Pool is. So it just makes sense with the Secret Santa app. Everybody has done Secret Santa and they understand the flow of that. So it doesn't get in the way of the understanding and all that because there's plenty for them to learn already. Skills gap, right? Product gap, unit testing, all this stuff. So this today, I've tasked each individual to come up with an audit for the Secret Santa app. The reason why is because that app was created for a hackathon we did back in December. So they went fast, they went quick, they got it up, but it's not as stable. It's good, it works, but we want to make it more fundamentally sound. So today you'll hear some audits about how to make this application stronger and also just understanding the infrastructure of like the database, how things are set up, and also recommendations on how we can improve this project. Cool. So first off, we have Alex. He's going to present to us. What are you going to present to us, Alex?
Yeah, so I'm going to go over a database audit and kind of go through how it's set up right now, some changes that I would like to see with the database so it's more understanding for new members, and then also how to stage the database for us and then I'm going to just quickly talk about why staging a database is necessary.
Cool. All right.
All right. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So this is the algorithms, and yes, that's how you pronounce it, algorithm. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to pronounce it. So algorithms, database, audit, and staging strategies. So that way we can ensure data integrity and preparedness for whenever we deploy. So some things I'm going to cover in this presentation is what database we're using and how we have it set up with our project. Then I'll go ahead and do a deep dive into our current database structure and some like changes that I would like to see happen with the database. And then lastly, I will go over why we should be doing staging in the first place and how we can go about doing it. So first off, I'll go ahead and go over the database that we're using and how we have it set up. So in our hackathon project, we decided to go with Supabase, as Supabase has a lot of backend functions, so that way we can focus more on the front end and we can just input quick functions to pull data and do what we need to do on the front end. And if you see here, you can see this is how we have the database set up, where we just have a config file where we create a client, a browser client, and we just import our certain API credentials that we have here from the .env file. And then with our database, we have currently right now, we have 4 different tables, one being the profiles table. The profiles table is just when a new user signs in, a profile gets created for them. Then we have the gift exchanges, which these are all the gift exchanges. So like, let's say someone wants to create a group of gift exchanges, that will basically take place in the gift exchanges table. And then we'll have another table of gift exchange members. So basically all the users that are part of that gift exchange. And then we have a separate table for gift suggestions. So that way when our AI creates suggestions, it gets stored into our database. And then now, in order to create a new user profile, I'll go ahead and cover that and kind of show you how whenever a user signs in, a profile automatically gets created for them. So if you take a look at the top, you'll notice a bunch of policies. So what these are in our database, we run 3 policies which allow new users to sign in, and it allows them to be able to view other profiles, which meaning if they want to be able to view other members' information and profiles, we allow that. So that way the users in the gift exchange can see like other user interests so they know what gifts to get them. And then we also allow for them to update their own profile. So let's say they go through the onboarding and they want to change some things about their interests, they're able to go to their profile and actually edit things and change the database of their profile. And then also the most important one right here is users can insert their own profile. What that means is we allow users, whenever they sign on, to auto create a profile for them. And then the big one right here, the database trigger. So this right here is actually part of what handles the auto creation of the profile whenever a new user signs in. So what happens is once a user clicks sign in, the database will recognize that this trigger is going to happen. And when that happens, it will actually take the information from the auth login that they did. So like in our case, we use Google, and with Google, it has their name. So it'll take their name and some of the Google information and then auto create a profile with that. And then right here too is also another form of trigger where it basically does that. When a user signs up, this function actually runs and then creates the unique ID for them in the profile. And then also right here where it says display name is where it grabs the Google auth name. So like if I were to sign in, it'll just show up as Alex since my name is Alex in Google Auth. Now I'll do a deep dive into our current database structure, and now you will be able to get a more visual look of like our database. So right here is the auth users. So this gets created whenever someone signs in. So for our instance, when someone logs in using Google, because right now we only have Google as a way to sign in, it creates a unique ID right here. It grabs your display name. So whatever your display name is for Google will get saved into our database under auth users. It'll have your email, your phone number, if your phone number is provided with Google Auth. And then right here, providers, it'll tell us that Google Auth was a provider. And then it'll say when it was created and when you were last signed in. Now this unique ID of auth users, when you sign in for the first time, it auto creates a profile using that same ID so it knows which person is signing in. And then when it auto creates that profile, it'll actually use your display name and auto save it right here as well. So your name will show up as your Google Auth name along with your email. And then we have other features here like age group, categories, hobbies, avoid, and all these right here, which I won't go too much into detail, but whenever you do onboarding and editing your profile, you can change these things around. Now for the profile ID, if you follow this down here, it actually, that unique ID for your user profile is actually used for gift exchanges. Whenever you create a gift exchange yourself, it saves it as the owner ID. So whoever's ID is right here for the owner ID will tell you which profile it is. And then also that same ID is also used to basically tell who each gift exchange member is. And then that same ID also comes through and over to the gift suggestions. So if you see up here, the gift exchange ID is what gets used and saved for the gift suggestions. That way, when you're at the database and you look at this, you can kind of understand that a certain gift suggestion is used for that specific gift exchange ID. And then they also can tell who is giving the gift and then also who's receiving the gift with the recipient ID. And then the suggestion is just what the AI comes up with, and it's an object for you to look at. But if you notice, there's a lot of IDs that are just named ID, and it can get very confusing, especially if you're new to this project and you're like, I don't quite understand what these IDs are for or what they're correlated with, because it can get very confusing. So I decided to come up with a different proposed new design. And if you look at the red boxes, you'll notice that under profile, instead of ID, I would like to change it to user ID. So that way, when we're coding and we're looking at things, we know that like each ID is for a specific thing. So for profile, I would like to see user ID. For gift exchange, we could also do gift exchange ID and then keep that consistency throughout the platform. So see here, giver ID, recipient ID, we'll know that it's...
Hey Alex, because we're using Superbase, it's a relational database, right? Doesn't it come with the ID by default for the table? Or are you saying that we would create an additional column that would be identified as user ID, a gift exchange ID?
I would have to look into that, but I think you're right. I do believe that when it creates, it auto creates like an ID.
Correct. Yep. And that's basically pretty much the ID of the table. Like every table you create has a ID that's connected to it by default, and that's how you identify it. But yes, I agree. Like it's a bunch of IDs around, but yeah, we can look into that too and kind of see what we could do.
Okay, yeah. And then also right here too, you'll notice a big red box around this database. So right here is me basically saying that we would want to take this database that we have and make a copy of it, which is considered staging a database. So Basically, for staging a database, I will kind of talk about why we should do it and how we can actually do it with Supabase. So, the reason for doing a staging database is it allows us to take that database stage and use it for coding in our development, where it'll allow us to work on the database and test things without having to worry about disrupting the actual database. Like, let's say me, for instance, I want to test something out and I start tweaking things around and I accidentally screw up the database by accidentally deleting something that was important. With the staging database, we don't have to worry about that, because if something happens to the staging database, like the development database is perfectly fine. So to basically explain it is the production database will be used for when we actually push things to production. So I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, and then also the staging database will be used for just when we're coding, making changes and testing things. So that way it doesn't corrupt any data and it doesn't mess up the user's experience that are using our app. And then also, so how we can do this is the best way that we can do is to take our current database and just make a copy of it. And in order to do that, we will actually need the pro subscription from Supabase, which is just $25 a month. And then in order to do it is actually really simple. All we'll basically need to do is back up the database, where when we log into Supabase, we'll just need to go to the database tab, go over to backups, and then perform a backup. And once that's done, you will be given the option to actually download that backup as a file. And then once you have that file onto your computer, you can go back into Supabase, create a new project, and we can just name it Algorithm Staging. And then we go in and we restore a backup where we just upload the file into that database. And it basically just makes a copy replica of the production database.
Is there a way to do this without getting the pro subscription?
I was looking heavily into it, but it seems with the pro subscription is like the best way to do it.
But is there a way to do it without it? Because I'm guessing that the pro one does the backups, right? The automatic backups or the manual trigger completes like backup.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to do it without restoring it or having a trigger to back up the production site or even clone it, right? Like a one-click clone. Like, can we do it for free?
For free, like I was doing a lot of digging. The only thing that I could really see that we could do for free was just a lot of tedious work where we like copy over the trigger commands into the new database.
Okay.
And then also for the tables, we can actually copy an SQL command. So that way, like in the new database, we can just import the SQL command to where it'll just create a table for that. So,
yep. Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking that because this is $25 a month, we're going to be net zero really quick because we're going to have to pay for Vercel already. So this might be one where we try to go the quick duplication route and then forego backup and quick one-click cloning and stuff. So that might be the route that we go, because you can do the whole all the tables and do a query to do an ad, and then it would query all of your tables and then create a query that adds the tables to anything you want. So another SQL database. So
so if this is kind of an example database, this is just my other project, but if you go into the database and you go to the table editor, and then you come in and like profiles, just like on how algorithm. If you click these three dots, it gives you the option to export the data.
Okay, can you
Like,
click on it?
yeah, and then when you do that, and let's successfully.
It's somewhere. It's probably check your downloads directory.
Yeah,
Local downloads folder. See if it's there.
because when I was doing that, the only reason I didn't talk about it too much is because
Oh, it's not there. Interesting.
successfully.
Oh, maybe it's in it's saved in your clipboard. Like if you go to VS Code and you paste it.
Yeah, let me go ahead.
So just create a new file.
I'm just going to just ignore all this. That's just what I had it.
Test ads. Nope.
Nope.
I don't know where it
That's
went.
my CSS. But
we'll figure it out. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, the reason why I didn't quite like go into it, because for like whatever reason, it'll let you export the data as SQL. Like it'll even like export it as this, like create the table and like all this. But whenever you paste it into the editor and hit run, like it like screws up and like has all these issues.
All right. Were you going to share more, Alex? Because we lost your screen.
Nope, that was all.
Okay. All right, cool. That's a good overview of the database and how it's structured and how it works and stuff like that. Yeah, let's look into how to get a free version of the database, because I don't think that we are going to pay $25 a month for this right now.
Yeah.
I would love to, but I think it comes at a cost. So maybe when we get some sponsorships and stuff, we can definitely do that. But for now, I think we can just copy the tables and create a query that creates these tables in a new environment, in a new place, and then we'll be good to go. But
sounds good.
Cool. Any other questions for Alex? None. All right, Cody, you were up.
All right, let me share my screen. All right, can we see that?
Yep.
All right, so my name's Cody. I'm going to be talking about how we set up different Vercel deployment environments, as well as kind of an overview of what our CI/CD pipeline would look like. So what is a deployment environment? Basically, it's a separate context where our application will run with a specific configuration, settings, and environment variables specific to that context. We can use these different environments to support various stages of our dev workflow. So what are the benefits of using different deployment environments? These are the three that I'm calling out here. Basically, risk mitigation. Basically, we can create features and isolate them to our pre-production environments so that in case there's any issues with them, we can easily roll back and we don't have any production downtime. And next is quality assurance. So because code has to go through stages in order to reach our production environment, at each of those stages, we'll have kind of checkpoints where we test our code. And so that by the time the code reaches our production environment, we're pretty confident that it's stable and well tested. Another thing is realistic verification. So basically, we can set up pre-production environments that really closely mirror our production environment. And we can have users test out these things and run different tests on this so that we kind of verify that our features are working with production-like data. And another is the business benefits. So we can kind of package features together and then release them according to different release stages, whatever we decide. That might be like an MVP, then an alpha, and then a beta version. And before I get into talking about how we're going to actually set up our deployment environments to Vercel, first I want to talk about our Git branching strategy, because basically this is going to dictate how we set up our deployment environments. So this is just a proposal, and this could totally just be adjusted or iterated upon. But basically, my proposal is having 4 different types of branches: feature branches, a dev branch, a staging branch, and a production branch. So these feature branches will basically be a branch created by a developer for a specific feature or bug fix. This will be tied to a ticket that they're assigned. Next is the dev branch. This is basically where all the feature branches from different developers are all going to come together and be merged into one place. Then the staging branch, like the name suggests, basically it's going to be a staging area before code reaches production. And the goal for this would be to closely mirror the code in our production branch. And so finally, like I mentioned before, our final branch is the production. This is going to be the most stable and thoroughly tested code, and this is the code that our users will be able to see and interact with in our application.
So, Cody, I have a question for you with this one. So as it gets to, like, as we push develop into staging, what do we then have to do, like a release into staging?
Yeah, so that would be like a manual step of promoting the dev branch to staging. And yeah, the goal for this would, like if we set up a staging database to kind of have that staging database connected to this environment, so that we can kind of test it with like production-like data that's not actually our production data.
And then once we get a staging, we would have to do another release into production, correct?
Yeah.
So then based on the environments, we would have a prod environment, a staging environment, and then just local builds. No, we want to have an environment for the dev branch, correct?
We could. One issue with this strategy, I think, is it could get pretty complex, especially like we're a small team. So managing all these different environments may not be ideal. But we could totally have a branch for each, or an environment for each of these main branches.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to clarify that. I mean, obviously, we'll talk more about this, and I'll ask more questions after your presentation about this, but go ahead.
Okay.
Just want to clarify that.
Sure. So next, I kind of have a diagram kind of showing this and what our CI/CD pipeline will look like. Make that a little bigger. First, I'll kind of call out the different sections of this diagram. So up top, we have our developer workflow. Below that, we have our main branches. And then below that, we're going to have our different Vercel deployment environments. I've kind of separated this preview deployment because this environment is going to be slightly different than the environments for our main branches. And I'll go into that a little bit more here in a second. But to start us off, I'm going to look at the developer workflow. So like I mentioned before, when a developer is assigned a ticket, they're going to create a feature branch for this ticket. And then once they're done coding out the feature, they're going to submit a pull request. And using Vercel and setting up some automated workflows using GitHub Actions, we're basically going to kick off 2 processes. The first process is going to auto-deploy our application to Vercel in a preview environment. Now, this is this is different than our other environments because this is going to create a unique environment for each pull request that's created. So let's say Alex and I are both working on a feature. We both create pull requests. Then we'll have 2 separate environments with 2 unique URLs corresponding to that environment. Now I just want to point out this arrow I have coming out of this preview deployment. Basically, if there are any build errors or deployment errors after this is auto deployed, then the developer will have to go and fix those issues and kind of redo the cycle all over again. Now I want to talk about the automated testing. So basically, we're just going to set this up with some GitHub actions that are going to run our unit tests and other tests that Danielle is going to talk a little bit about later. Basically, those tests fail. It's going to redo the cycle again, where the developer has to go and fix the code in order to kind of move on in the process. And once those tests pass, though, then the code review process starts. And once that PR is approved, then that code can be merged into the dev branch. And when this happens, we're going to set up through Vercel an auto deployment so that dev branch is now deployed to the dev environment. And like I mentioned before, for the staging branch and the production branch, it's going to require a manual promotion from the previous branch in the process, basically. So dev will have to be manually promoted to staging, and then staging will have to be manually promoted to production. And this would kind of follow whatever release stages that we're doing. And then these branches will also be auto-deployed once new code is merged into them. Now, one thing I wanted to call out about the staging branch is that, like I said earlier, the goal for it to be would be to mirror production. So when this happens, or when new code is merged into staging, we could do some user acceptance testing where we have users try out our application without production data. We can kind of verify that the data has been thoroughly tested, or the code has been thoroughly tested, and now that code is ready to move to production according to our release stages. And I'm sorry, do you have a question?
I was going to say something, but go ahead. I'll wait till you're done.
Oh, and as far as setting this up, it's all pretty simple within Vercel. Basically, we just set up the Git branching strategies and the different events that will trigger these auto deployments, such as like creating a pull request or new code being merged into one of our main branches.
Awesome. Yeah. I want to mention something. This is a very good workflow. I love it. But also at the same time, we are small and nimble. So a staging branch is usually like your QA environment. And like you said, you could do user testing, you could do all that stuff in there. I don't know if we are at that level yet. We can always scale up there, but scaling back would be difficult if we went down this route. What are your thoughts about just going straight from develop branch to production, like do a release there? Because with the develop branch, it would be auto deployed to the development area, and that would be pretty much a staging area. And then I know with Vercel, when we do PRs, they also create their own environment as well. And you can do testing with those changes within that PR environment. So it kind of acts as the dev branch you have, and then the dev branch actually acts as the staging branch. I don't know if you saw that the Vercel environment, it does do its own build for every PR. I'm gonna mute you down for a little bit here. The PR environment, it does its own build and build environment for the PRs.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, we can totally do away with the staging branch. Like I mentioned earlier, this is probably unneeded complexity for us as like a small team. So yeah, easily do away with the staging branch, and I guess the dev environment as well.
No, I would keep that dev environment. What I'm saying is that the PR environment, like when you do a pull request and you make changes and it's going through its testing, it will create a temporary preview link with Vercel, and then you can review the changes there. And then as you push, right, as we merge it into the dev branch, that should create a development environment as well. And then because we don't like per se have a QA team or do thorough QA right now, we could forego the staging branch and environment for now until we need it and go straight to production, because our QA could be then completed within the dev environment.
Yeah, I feel like we're saying the same thing, right? But
We're saying the same thing in different ways. Yes.
okay.
This diagram would need to be adjusted because the PR environment that you have right now, like how it goes to the PR and they automate tests and then it gets approved. There's actually a PR, a separate PR environment that's created from Vercel. So we would add that in here, unless if that's what you're calling the dev branch, because before we even merge it into the main branch or the dev branch, that feature branch, it will create its own environment for you to review.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to show with this arrow on the left here,
Okay.
leading to the preview deployment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Mhm.
Okay, got it. Okay, that's my mistake then. Yeah, then we would just remove the staging um uh environment, and then the arrow you have to auto deploy, it would do it after the tests are passed. Because even if the test failed, it wouldn't build. And then how you have it here, test fails, it goes back to feature branch. We would make it a little bit more accurate, and it's out there automated test and test pass, then it would create the previewed deployment and environment.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Other than that, no, this diagram looks fantastic. It's drawn out very well, explained very well. And if we were a startup or a bigger company, then that staging environment is very important. But as we stand right now, I'd say we want to try to move a little bit faster until we're like, hey, we're ready. We have this in production. We have many users, and we need to be more sensitive, right? So that dev environment builds, and it will run its course, but then the staging environment will then not be needed right now.
That makes sense.
Okay. Is that everything, Cody?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, cool. A great job with that presentation of the environment and how they. One question I have for you is, how are we going to do versioning?
Sorry, what do you mean by that?
Like versioning our releases?
That's something I didn't really look into.
Okay, no problem. How we do it in Gridiron Survivors, we use semantic versioning. So when we release, then we go into our README and GitHub, and then we create a release statement, and then we use semantic versioning. And then as we do that, we also have to update the version within our package. And then that means that like anybody can be on a previous version if they want to, but when we have release notes and everything with our packages, then developers and everybody else understands like what features we're putting into this new release. So definitely look into that. Cool. Awesome. Okay. We are going to move to the recorded session, the recorded videos. So unless if Dom, I know yours is recorded. Do you want me to just play your video?
Yeah, sure. I'll play the video and then we can get into some clarifying questions if you want.
Okay, cool. All right, let me do that. My computer is freezing. Hey, two Doms.
Two Doms.
All right, let me play this and see if you guys hear it. The audio. Did you guys hear the audio?
I did not.
Oh boy, I think I had to do that one thing where I have to share with the audio, right?
Maybe.
It is on. Also share tab audio. I love technology.
Someday it'll be
Share
good.
audio. To share audio, share a tab or screen instead. Oh gosh. Oh, okay. Um. I think I could do this. Hold on. Okay, I got it. I gotta do one by one. Okay. It's frozen, huh?
And today we're going to be covering the TypeScript audit I did.
Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
That was coming
Okay.
over.
Okay, let me replay it. Sorry, Dom.
We did it.
All right, here we go.
Hi, my name's Dominic Monaco, and today we're going to be covering the.
Sorry, I don't know.
Maybe I
What's
should
wrong with
just
my
do it
computer.
live.
No, it's my computer. What happened to my computer? That's so funny. Okay, hold on here. Oh, what better way than to have Dom here playing his video and it doesn't work?
It's poetic.
Yeah, even Danielle's video. Huh. Okay, hold on here. Let me see if it actually works. It is working. Okay, let's try this again. So sorry, so sorry.
Hi, my name's Dominic Monaco, and today we're going to be covering.
Okay, hold on here. Let me just fast forward.
It's tragic because I put so much work into this video.
I know. Yes. I think it's just my machine. Okay, let me switch browsers. Hold on. I think it's my browser because I have like a million tabs open. So yeah, this is gonna work. Oh, it's already smoother already. I blame Google. Okay. Which tab am I going to? Okay, how about this? Okay, I gotta sorry everybody, I gotta organize my screen so that you guys can't see my stuff. Okay, that's okay if you see that. That. Oh, you can't see that. You can't see that. Okay, here we go. All right. Right, Dom. I promise you we'll get your video up.
If not, I'm happy to do it live. I can just pull up the slides and share my
No,
screen.
because there's two more videos that I had to figure out. So
Okay, so this is good. This is a good like a trial run.
yeah. I got it. Every time I try to share screen, my computer like gets really wonky. Okay, here we go.
The audio is super low, but it's kind of coming across.
Oh, I just lost audio right there.
Mm-hmm.
Is it back?
Yeah.
Hmm. All right. So let me ask you a question right now. Right now, I saw, are we just using the default Next TypeScript linting? Or are we using,
Currently, we are just on strict mode, and it's the default. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I definitely want to add the same ones we have from Grand Survivor.
Mhm.
That one uses Next too. So once we bring those over, it won't even let you do any. Like there's certain things that you can't even do. So which is even better because then you can't um, use some of these bad habits that the linter will catch. Yes, you can still
Mhm.
add like the comment that comments out linting, but as a code reviewer, you can go in and you'll see it, and I always call those out. So,
Yeah.
my other question for you is, when you did an audit on all the files and stuff, um, are we going to have to add interfaces, enums, and return types and all that stuff to most of the code, all the code, some of the code? Like, is there going to
Most
be
of the
some additional that we have to make?
Yeah, most of the code. So I guess to touch the ESLint because it's very relevant here. I took your ESLint and I ripped out some of the packages like JSDoc and got most of it to work and ran it in our current uh, code base for the current Gridiron Survivor project,
Uh huh.
and that resulted in numerous return type errors across most of those 50 files,
Perfect.
as well as some other ones. So that's going to be a reoccurring thing. Um, Broadly, though, there are interfaces stubbed out for at least most of the arguments. A lot of these functions are taking in, and a lot of these components are taking in.
Okay.
But like the outbound data, it's a little
Okay.
uncovered.
With the interfaces we have now, you guys can tell me, Alex and Cody, is it very explicit to what the types are, and are they being shared, or are they just like simple types like string, number, Boolean, or are they like strict objects that were carried over from interfaces and extended because we're reusing them in certain places?
I haven't taken a look at it recently, but from what I remember, I think for the most part, it's not just using like string or like if it is like a string value, we're using like union types for that.
Okay.
I know one thing we probably could have done better was just use the types straight from Supabase. Um,
Oh, okay.
we can from the dashboard. I know you can just like download the types and
Oh,
we
I
could
see.
just use those directly
Cool.
instead of recreating the interfaces and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and like most of the places that I saw, like you could tell, like some of the types were passed in for defining, but in other locations, the props were like defined right there as like you could tell that like we sped through it. We're like
Okay.
we didn't have enough
That's
time. We kind of
exactly
just
what I'm getting at. Yep. So yeah, we want to do that and go back and figure out like we don't have to do file by file, but we will have to go back, and that's the work that we'll have to do, Dom, is go back and clean up our code so that we're not inlining like the types, we're making objects and we're making interfaces, because that way we can extend the interfaces, we can reuse them, we can use them for testing, and when we integrate them with other components and whatnot, we could bring those types over. So that is the work that I would be looking at, because then we have more strict objects and understanding that our code base is going to be um, legible from a typing standpoint. Because if we inline them, it's going to be, like all of our properties are inline, then it's just simple types, right? It does work, but it's not going to be flexible and it's not going to be legible in the end. Oh, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Cool. I was gonna say, agreed. I think a lot of this, like the inline types, I was gonna recommend if I had maybe like another 30 seconds in there that there's a lot of stuff that could be converted to generics so it can be repurposed throughout the code base and extended. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's continue to look at that effort because that's what we'll do next. Is a lot of the work that you guys presented. We are going to do those. All right. Any other questions and comments for Dom?
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Dom. All right. Next, we have Danielle. And I think I have this queued up correctly. Oh, Cody. Sorry, Cody. Here we go.
Hey Shashi, this video it's running into a similar an audio issue as last video where the audio is just not coming through.
It's not coming through at all.
It's coming through, but I have to turn it up to 100, like max audio on my device, and at that point, you breathing is almost as loud as the video itself.
Honestly, I have no idea how to control that. Let me see here. Okay, I'll stop breathing because if I mute my mic, you guys can't hear. That's what happened last time.
He's like, I'm gonna stop breathing.
Okay, I'm gonna move my mic really far away. Okay, this is the best we can do. Sorry. Okay, hold
Yeah, I think the audio is gone now.
on. Oh man. How about now? Is it back?
No.
Wait, so you're saying that the audio is completely lost?
It was either gone or it was like very, very faint.
Yeah, it's kind of like the audio is so faint when it works that when Alex just spoke, it ruptured my eardrum.
My bad. I'll talk quiet.
Oh, good. I just think it's kind of it's barely working at the best of times.
This is probably the best we can do. I don't know how. I looked and I increased everything, and it is not working. Let me see here real fast. And it's also covering Danielle's face.
Maybe maybe in the settings for the project for the audio and for the mic instead of your headset, maybe like your computer speakers or something. If that might.
Hold on here. How do I get this?
Or I'm sorry, for the mic, have your headset, but for the speaker, do like your computer and not your like headset, if that makes sense.
Okay, so for the audio, for the mic, do the computer.
Is the speaker your computer or is it your headset?
It's my headphones.
Try on your computer because maybe, and then have your headset close to your computer speaker so it picks up the audio from the video.
I don't know if that's gonna work. We'll try. All right. You guys are now on my computer. Let's try this out.
Oh yeah, no, that did not work.
What?
It did not work. No, dang.
Oh no. Oh no, Daniel, I'm so sorry. Okay, let's go back. We are doing this live. Let's just go back to what we were before. And echo cancellation, automatic mic. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Is it louder?
Your mic was louder. Yeah. Oh, it's louder.
It's louder?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with this. Sorry, now. This is what I'm doing. Look. The audio's coming out of here. Like, now my mic is twice as loud, right? Like, it's really far. You guys can hear me well, right? Okay, it's really far. All right. Thank you, Danielle. That was a great presentation. I know I saw your spreadsheet too, and sorry, my kids are in the background. I have the mic on twice as loud now, so you can hear everything. But yeah, agree. Testing was something we already knew. We wanted to not do it right now because it was a hackathon. But now we gotta go back and make sure we have test coverage. So that means we are gradually everybody's going to slowly do unit tests coverage, and it'll take time, and but it'll be worth it in the end when we have a solid application, because I don't want to slow us down. We have a good product and there's key features we want to move forward with. So, but to have tests would be great, because as we're writing tests, we have no idea if we broke anything. So yes, we are going to prioritize testing. Okay, let me get the last presentation. Any comments and or questions for Danielle? Oops, sorry. Nah?
I think one question I would have for her if she was here was, in her estimation, what are the highest priority tests we could be writing? You know, as far as like, what would be, if we were to write 10 tests tomorrow as tickets, what would be the highest priority and the highest value test to be
Got
writing?
it. Got it. Yeah, I think her spreadsheet does that, but we can confirm with her. That way we can target the highest priority ones, right? Okay. Any other comments? All right. I'm gonna do the same thing. So if it's too loud, get ready. All right. Next one is design audit from a list. All right.
we have some kind of celebration screen saying like, hey, like we got your input and we are fetching gifts to send to the person who gets you Secret Santa would be more feedback for the user so they feel more enticed to interact with the app. The empty state, I could use like an illustration from the create group page. Only comment I had for this is having a more open price range. I know some groups like to do like $25 or they do like a range of like $30 to $50, and so giving them more control of their price range would be great. Also, there needs to be more consistent spacing between elements attached to the design system because I see that there are different margins and paddings that are used throughout the site, so we can define that later together. Back to the dashboard, I do think that these colors, I know they're different shades of green and we want to go for a holiday-esque feel for the site, but they kind of blend together. And so if we have like a different color against these varying shades of green, that would help the app pop more and also for usability for people with visual flexibilities. For this page, since it is the dashboard page, we can immediately show value to the users by including a section here that will show direct links to items they can buy for their Secret Santa or whoever has them. And so for the group page, I think the exchange date or the due date should be highlighted a little bit more for contrast, since it's an important date to remember. This gift giving journey, I think it's meant to give from start to finish what's going to happen, and it doesn't seem to be very step 1 to step 4. So maybe updating these or putting like step 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. It's especially for having a hackathon on this in a short period of time. This app looks great, and I think it could really pick up with all of the updates that we'll make in the future. But yeah, I just wanted to applaud you guys on creating the app, and I'll make more comments as I go because there's a lot that I missed. But yeah, thanks for listening, and I hope this wasn't too long. Also, this is great. That's all. Thank you.
Cool. Let me adjust my mic setting so I don't scream in your ears. Okay, now I can put it in my face now. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Alyssa. That was a really thorough walkthrough, and understanding like where the pages are at. And yeah, I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, the ones that built this, you had a design and you moved fast. There was no design system in place, no design tokens. It was true hackathon fashion. Here's one page or so. Let's make it look the same. Let's get it going. Cool.
Yeah, correct. Thomas had a Figma in 3 days, and that was the last we talked about it.
That that works. It looks great. Like, and that's the thing. Like, and then now that Alyssa can come in and be like, okay, now I have a frame to work with. We can create a whole Figma design system with this, and she can create spacings and stuff, and all this stuff is going to be easy. And it's nice too because when you go work for a company that builds like marketing sites, like every single space matters, everything, you want to be pixel perfect. So we'll let her be free, have the freedom to adjust those, find some accessibility issues, some things that are just not working well, or they're not consistent. And we could bring that in so that we can do some little tweaks and bugs, because yes, we are looking for new individuals to join the Gridiron Survivor team. We have openings for UX engineers, which are the bridge between design and development. You'll usually work with a list design and implement some things into component, fix some accessibility issues, even write some unit tests. And then we also have functional engineers. These are ones that work with the database, kind of do the connections between data and working with data models and building complex functionality to ensure like the AI tool we have, right? Going in there, understanding it, tweaking it, and making it better. So if you are interested in joining, send me a DM on X, on LinkedIn, whatever it is. We're definitely looking for a few new members. And with this whole apprenticeship program, I am open to anybody. Obviously, we want some individuals that are a little further than just the bare bones basics, because our whole team is fully functional and we don't have that much time to train you on the basics. Obviously, I'm not looking for like a mid-level engineer, no way, but somebody that's competent and has some time during the week, because I realized that if you don't have like between 10 to 20 hours a week to work on this project, actually not beneficial. It holds you back, and then it holds the team back, but also you're not learning as much because not saying we move fast, but like you can ask these guys when I do a code review, it's thorough and it might take you 2 weeks to get it done because of the level of granularity that the PR goes through. And if you're stuck on one ticket for 2 weeks when it should take you 2 days, then it's going to definitely block some individuals. That's where I come in and help you with the coaching and understanding of the quality and where we want things at. But again, if you're interested, definitely reach out. Open to all levels that just want to participate in this and to gain some learnings about how it will feel like to work in a in the corporate world. We use agile process. We go through sprints. We do sprint planning. We as retrospectives. We do planning sessions like this, and then every 2 weeks or so, we'll do sprint demos where any individual can come in and demo the things they worked on to give them exposure and opportunities to kind of show and showcase what they've been working on. All right. Anything else from anybody? No, we're always a silent bunch. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for coming. Hopefully you enjoyed those presentations and all the audits that we did. Next step for the team is we're going to put these into plan and start taking action on them. Start making these changes, and then pretty soon here we'll start doing some feature development. And I think that's going to be the cool piece, is being able to share new things that we build within Zap. So stay tuned, and we will be back, I don't know, a week or two. Thank you, everybody.